You're still listening to Breakfast Connect on Africa Business Radio. It's our Media Wednesday edition, and on the show today we'll be talking to one of the most cerebral comedians and event hosts on the Nigerian circuit. He is the host of his self-titled radio show, Comedy HQ. So let's roll out the red carpet and give a warm Breakfast Connect welcome to TG Banks.
Hello, good morning, sir.
Hello, TG Banks. I'd like to start from the beginning. What's the origin story of TG Banks? TG Banks was not born a comedian. So when did TG Banks discover that, he's TG Banks? He's the TG Banks that we know now.
Wow, that's a deep question. I actually, growing up, I just discovered I love to talk. I love to make people smile. I love to entertain. I didn't know about what entertain then. I was too young to know that. But I just discovered when I was very young, I was always listening to stories, and it was always intriguing. It starts from there, I think. Then I'll gather my mates and junior ones when in the neighborhood then. I'll start telling them stories that my teachers told me, stuff like that. Then in secondary school, we always, yab, we call it yabbing. Always yab ourselves. There was this guy that was from Togo, so it was very good. So anytime he tries to yab or crack jokes, people will laugh. I tried to crack jokes. His own was always funny, and that became jealous. And even at then, I didn't really know what I was doing. And I started practicing more to be funnier than him. That was how it started. And that was secondary school. Even in primary school, I was like a celebrity. I was in primary school. I just discovered anytime I want to act, they give me a role, but I acted in a very funny way. So I became very popular in primary school. That if our teacher asks us to come act and they mention my name, the whole school starts jumping up, carrying chairs, carrying tables in excitement because I want to act. So looking back, it has always been part of me. I think God just put it there.
All right. Let's go now to current events of things happening. There is still a pandemic. Even though things have chilled out a little bit in these parts of the world, the UK is about to go into a second wave of lockdowns. Yeah. But, there was a time when, it was heavy here in Nigeria. We went into a total lockdown. And there was a slowdown in economic activity, especially around the entertainment industry, particularly, regarding live shows. People couldn't gather for live shows, which was the bread and butter of a lot of people in your industry. So I've spoken to quite a number of people who told me how they adjusted to the new normal during that period. How was it for you?
Oh man, entertainment-wise, it was quite tough. It was quite tough. So let me just as well, because what we do basically is we host events. That's where, as a comedian, where the most of the money comes from is when you host events, weddings, birthdays, and all that. That's where the large chunk of the money comes from. So for comedians that didn't have a side hustle, aside the core, really suffered. A lot of my friends, without sounding somehow kept on calling. I was fortunate. I would say I'm fortunate because I have always had a side hustle and all that, and it helped me. But not really to talk generally about just comedians that focus on just comedy and stagecraft and all that. It suffered a lot. It was hell. Not making money from February. I'm talking about breadwinners and fathers and mothers in the industry. Not making money from like March to September. It was hell. It was hell. You see people that ordinarily control thousands, hundreds of thousands, control millions, asking you for 2,000 naira. It was crazy. It was worse than the way people assumed it to be. In a more civilized climes, the government would have been able to help. But in Nigeria, you're on your own. It's more like you can't. I think it's easier for us to help government than for government to help us. For you to expect government to help you is more of wishful thinking in this country. So let us go there anyway. But we thank God, things are getting back now. As soon as what also affected it was weddings. There was no weddings. And what most of us bank on is every Saturday weddings, and once in a while the other event weddings, for Saturday weddings. So since the lockdown has been relaxed a little, we thank God things are shaping up back, and we'll get there.
Yeah, because that was what I was going to ask now. To what extent have things, normalized? Will you say it's 60%, 70%, 100%? How have things picked up back to where it used to be?
I would say 40%. I would say 40. I would say 40 because, I would say 40. The fear is still there. Not all are opening for large gatherings. Some are still being regulated. Not more than 30% capacity, stuff like that. I would say it's still 40%. Although the events are coming gradually, but it's still 40%. People that are planning to have let's say 5 million naira wedding before are cutting down the cost to like 2 million, 1 million. And once they are cutting it down, your cost as NC also reduces. They rather go for the ones they can afford. But it's getting better. By the end of the year, we should be at 60%.
Now, some people, even within the entertainment industry, took their businesses online. We saw some people hold online concerts, and we saw some people, do some online. Some went mostly into kind of transformed, and reshaped.
Their career path.
Yeah, their career path. Yeah. How did you see, that transformation, with people doing that during that period?
There's online comedy has always been there. When I was in Benin, when I was in the South, I became quite popular through online comedy. But, kept on doing it and doing it with the stage comedy as well. So during the corona, most comedians have a choice than to go online. But the sad part is not every comedian is. The fact that you're funny on stage does not mean you would be a very good online comedian or what a skit maker or a content creator. They are two different things. You might be very funny on stage, but when it comes to content creating, skit making, it might not be your forte. It might not be where you're strong in. But aside that, I have a lot of comedians that also went into digital marketing and all that. That's where education comes into play. That's where you separate the boys from the men sometimes. That's where, in life, a lot of, that's what people don't really know. There is lots of educated comedians in the industry. Some people look at comedians sometimes and they feel, alawada like Yoruba would say, but that's not the way it is. I have a lot of colleagues that are master degree holders, a lot of us like that. They lived, you see. So at that point when the thing became tough, people had to bring out their intellectual part of them to survive. A lot of people went into content creating for companies, digital marketing, a lot of other stuff. It also helps you know that, okay, anything can happen to this anytime. It is time to diversify. It is the time not to just focus on one thing. If you're an entertainer, if you're a comedian, you should also be able to act. If you notice these days, you see AY during stand-up, you see AY doing skits, you see AY in movies, you see AY in sitcoms, you see AY,
Yeah.
Most people are like...
Yeah, so speaking of AY, is one of, the most industrious, not the most, but one of the most industrious comedians in Nigeria that I've seen. But some people argue that he's not really so much of a comedian, but an actor. Do you agree?
No, I disagree totally. Nigerians can kill your career with one patient. May the devil not allow people kill our career verbally. The thing is, a lot of people have high expectations when they say comedian. In Nigeria, they see basket mouths. They expect you to be as funny as, let's say, Gandoki. Gandoki is not up there again, but you know how funny he was. They see a Bobby, and a lot of people just, I go die. It was I go die, and basketman was a yardstick. It's just like saying, see Ronaldo and Lionel Messi of football. You now call them, they are footballers. Does that mean a Lacazette is not a footballer or is not a striker? Because it's not as good as Ronaldo or Messi. Hey, I'm asking you. Are you going to say because Lukaku is not as prolific as Messi and Ronaldo, then Lukaku is no longer a striker?
Yeah, he is.
Yes.
I quite agree.
Explains everything.
That is it. I mean, it's just something that I've heard people say, because I see, stuff like that happening, especially in the American comedy circuit. Some comedians make the transition from stand-up comedy. A lot of them start, at comedy clubs as stand-up comedians, and they make that transition from stand-up comedy into movies. And meanwhile, a lot of them have been trying to make that transition from stand-up comedy into movies, and they've not. I don't think it's.
I think
because there's more money. There's more money in the movies than in the stand-ups.
Definitely.
Definitely. So ultimately, with the little that I've seen, a lot of them are looking to make that transition, but not all of them make it to that transition. But AY is one of the few in Nigeria who made that transition. But it seems like quite a number of comedians in Nigeria are just comfortable, doing stand-up and
No, I don't think so. Look at me, for example. You asked me my story, and I told you I started from acting, right? Mm-hmm. But people didn't know that. So a lot of people know me as a stand-up or as a skit maker. Now, if I now move from stand-up now and they see me in a movie, they will say I moved from stand-up to acting, not knowing that I actually started into stand-up. So most comedians that you see on stage, they are natural born actors. You can't be a comedian on stage without being an actor. Comedy in itself on stage is acting, it's stage acting. Where most of the things we say are not true. We only imagine them and we start talking. Then we put our body into it, we put our emotions, our face. We are acting. So for you to be able to excel as a stand-up comedian, you're already a born actor.
True.
So you get it?
Yeah.
But people only define it because they see the it's what they see, they define. They define it from where they see you from. They see you on stage, then move. Actually, you're moving from acting then to stage and back to acting.
True. So earlier, we were talking about the pandemic hitting and you having a buffer because you are not just a comedian and a radio host. You also do ratings assessment for shows and for programs. Yeah. And how have you coped, with combining? Because now I'm seeing that you're a man of many skills. How are you managing all of that? How are you managing all of that?
I don't know, actually. It's the grace of God. I just discovered I tell people I'm more than I'm more than just an entertainer, but with time I'm trying to just focus on, entertainment. But I have other part of me, the business part of me, the educational part of me, then the work part of me. I do data analysis, I do research and programming for radio and TV stations and all that. It's just a skill that came along the way, and there are some skills you have you can't waste it, know. So recently I was having a meeting with some media houses where we were talking about programming and how best to place this, place that and all that, and they were looking at me when the last time the person saw me was on stage. So it was for the first 5 minutes it was just staring at me, and the one thing I've learned about life is if you don't just how am I going to put this right now? We have only one life to live. So be whatever you can be. One shouldn't stop the other so far you can manage your time very well. But with time, you learn to specialize. It will come with time, but don't force it when that time hasn't come. That's my philosophy.
Yeah, that's the U.S. Army slogan, be all you can be.
Yeah. That's why you can be SAT and SWAT at the same time.
That's true.
You have to explore.
So, by my own personal assessment, and I may be wrong, there seems to be an urgency from younger people, these days to blow overnight, like they say. And if you were to advise a young person who's looking to come into the entertainment industry today, specifically in comedy, what would your advice be?
Once you come in with the mindset of you like the luxury life or you want to blow, you want to be popular, the tendency for you to achieve that is always very low. It's always very low. The major thing is to love what you're doing. If your comedy is not like a craft you can just learn, though you can learn if you have the slight ability to make it laugh, you can groom it. Because with time I realized there's this thing that they say hard work beats talent. Talent fails to work hard. But I would advise just focus on the craft, love it, groom it. With time, fame will come. But when you come into it with the same ideology, you might be fortunate and just blow, but it won't last. It won't last. You should do it for love. A lot of people are money oriented. It's not so bad. But learn to balance it. You shouldn't just come into the industry because you want to be famous. You have to know why you're coming into the industry. You have to be smart. But at the same time, you shouldn't just be for the fame alone. And then if it's for the fame, what's the wife doing in the industry? Because he has the fame already. What's basketball doing? They have the fame already. At that point, you get tired, then you just move out. So then you need to ask yourself, do I really love this? Do I want to be in this industry? Do I love to make people laugh? Does making people laugh make me happy? Those are the questions you ask yourself.
Now, let's talk a bit about what's happening now in the country, NSAS. It started as a protest against the special elite unit of the Nigeria police, but now it has become a call for general reform in all parts of governance, of Nigerian governance. What do you make of, because, comedians are political commentators. You guys are, you kind of are sometimes even more current than other people because you have to know about a lot of things happening, so that you can relate it with normal life. And I've learned a lot about life and about politics, even listening to comedians more than I've learned in some books. When you watch shows like The Daily Show, The Late Late Show, with Trevor Noah, and you listen to all these guys, they talk a lot of politics, but then it's funny. But then you learn a lot. So with what is happening now, with Nigeria and NSAS, what do you make of it?
Wow. I don't know how free I am to talk here.
Yeah, you're free. We're on online radio.
Since that's not an issue. I was privileged to be part of the NSAS movement. I was actively part of it. Not at the forefront, but I was there. I was there like 4 times at Lekki Tollgate. I was in Unilag once, and I just find myself always there in anywhere there is such, we like to call it agitation. So, I remember 99 then. I think I was quite young then, but I witnessed it, so I understand it. 2012, I was part of it in Ochota. NSAS, I think it's more, you said it all, it's more than just NSAS. People were actually looking for an avenue to talk, avenue to express themselves. People have been enslaved for years, and that was why when they called for 5 and government said, okay, the IG talked. They said, no, they don't want the IG. They want the president talked. They said, no, they are not even satisfied. It's not because the system or the youth are not organized or they don't know what they want. But it happens because, when you've been frustrated for so long, and for once, so I can talk and they will listen, that was what happened. I think the movement has come to stay. It's going to revolve around NSAS. The next one is not going to be NSAS. If the government is not careful, this what we've witnessed is going to be a child's play. I pray it doesn't take more lives again. That's the only sad part. I lost a friend to this. That's why I look at people when they say, who has died, blah, blah, blah. Just look at them and just laugh. I lost a friend and till date, the police refused to. He was shot by the police and they refused to release his body. That's the sad part. This is a friend that I've not seen for like 10 years. Then I saw him 2 weeks before his death. So you can imagine how it was. It was quite traumatic for me. For 2 days, I kept on seeing him in my dreams and all that. So Nigeria will get better, but no nations get better when you don't give freedom of expression to the youth and to the people. We have become so, I think our parents, not their fault because they witnessed the military era, then, we still have a way of introducing military system into our democracy. So the fear is always there. So we inherited fear from our parents. I used to say something that if there is a reason why I hate being a Nigerian before now, was because Nigerians are docile. But this last movement proved me wrong, and it's one of, I'll forever relish those moments. I have pictures, I have videos. These are things I'll show my children. That's if a bigger one doesn't happen before them, because I see it happening. I see it happening because you can't, I've forgotten the name of what they call, what kind of system we are running in Nigeria. You can't keep running. Nigeria is not working. Don't let me start speaking English. Nigeria know they work. The English is too much. So sometimes Pidgin, they explain situation better. Then Yoruba explains it better than Pidgin. Nigeria is not working. Go work. For now, it's not working. That is just what it is. Now, the question is, our leaders, or they are not even our leaders, our rulers, do they really want the country to work? They have to be sincere. It's not all about what they think. It's just as if those people up there are living in oblivion and they have a definition of how they want Nigeria to work. And the people here have another idea of how they want it to work. I don't know how long we have, but...
And both have to merge.
We need to... Nigerians now became more exposed and more open-minded than our leaders itself. Nigerians became more educated. You can't compare Nigerians in 1970s. Then we had only like 6 federal schools. But now we have like 120 universities. So Nigerians are vastly educated, well-traveled, well-exposed. These are the combination of people you saw with those NSAS because they've seen it, how a good system runs. Yeah. I don't know if you're a part of the movement or you happen to go out to any of the if you're privileged to go to the protest ground, you'll see how it was like a society. I'm talking about Lekki and Ikeja.
Yeah.
I don't know about the other part. It was like a society that works. That's how the protest ground were. If you're feeling headache, there's an ambulance for you. If you are arrested, there are lawyers to bail you. If you're feeling pressed, there's a toilet that can attend to you. Don't let you attend to you by itself. If you are hungry, there are people that will feed you. If you are thirsty, there is food free. All these things I'm saying are free. If you're feeling moody, there is entertainment, slight entertainment. Then occasionally we go back to the protesting. There's everything. Whatever you think runs a system or a society, there's everything. Even education. There was education. There was everything. Then how much did they spend at the end of the day? Less than 23 million. And people were contented and happy and if it was government that protest, for example, you will hear 36 billion, 1 and something trillion. There's no accountability. Nigerians don't trust the government. And in a society where there's no trust between the government and the governed, anarchy looms. We pray God will help us.
Amen. So, what are some of the new projects TG Banks is working on right now? Are we going to see TG Banks in another skit or we're going to see an online comedy.
Yeah. I did my stage, my last stand-up show last year, September last year, Comedy Headquarters. That was like an affiliation to my radio show.
Mm-hmm.
But this year, it's been, it's been tough. Nobody can do that for now. Just looking at it. But more videos coming up on social media, more comedy skits, more stage performances, more traveling outside the country to do some shows, and in the country, and also just doing shows here and there. Next year, things will become stronger, then we can plan better. But this year, we're just trying to live through this year. We're just trying to live through it and see where it lands us. But we thank God. Thank God.
All right. Thank you so much, TG Banks. It's been very, very, very informative and fun talking to you. And it's been a while. And
I forgot to add something. I don't know if I can.
Yeah.
So during the pandemic, I've had my company right from the time, but I've not had time to build it and structure it well. So we started Epitome Hauz.
Okay.
It's like an event planning company and a branding company. So it's an entertainment, events, and branding company. So that's part of what I do also. It's part of what I do now on the site. So that's part of TG Banks brand as well. Epitome Hauz. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much. And we hope that at a later date we can come and we can have another conversation where we'll catch up on what Epitome Hauz is doing, and you tell us about some of your overseas trips around the world, maybe sometime next year.
By God's wish.
All right. Thank you very much for being our guest on the show.
Thank you so much.
All right.
It's a privilege.
Privilege is all ours. All right. So we've been talking to TG Banks, a comedian and data analyst, also owner of Epitome Hauz. Breakfast Connect continues in a bit. Stay with us.